Welcome to the La Jolla Cosmetic Podcast. I'm your hostess, Monique Ramsey, and today we're going to talk about the skinny shot that we are offering at the center. And I have an expert about it. And the reason I'm going to call her an expert is because she's kind of been the one to head this whole thing up and put it together with Dr. Haas, who's our medical director for the skinny shot. But she's also a patient. And so I'm really excited to find out about how her journey has been going over the last few weeks with the skinny shot. So welcome to April. April, how are you today? And thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Monique, for having me. I'm doing amazing. It's Monday, and it's always kind of my favorite day because I do my shot today, which means that I weigh myself. And so hopped on the scale today, dropped another probably 2.6 pounds today. So I have 2 pounds left, and then I will have achieved my goal.
Okay. That's amazing. And so what is your goal? Do you mind saying like how many pounds you were looking to drop?
So I wanted to drop, I think it was 26 pounds. So I have been on the skinny shot since I think February 3rd or 4th. I just got back from a cruise and had been thinking honestly about this program for about the last 3 years, as many of my coworkers started doing the weight loss program during COVID. And I watched all of them kind of go through the highs and lows of losing weight. And as the director of patient engagement, I was sitting on the sidelines trying to encourage management to add this very powerful service to our office, and the timing just became right at the end of 2023. So I was super excited when we added it.
Yeah. And I can't believe that you started in February. I didn't realize that. Okay. So I'm assuming that if your goal's 26 pounds, you said you're 2 pounds away, right? That people are starting to notice, friends, family, coworkers.
A lot of coworkers are noticing, family members. I've got 3 kids. One of them lives with me and 2 of them don't live with me. And the one that lives with me, love you, child that lives with me, but is a little bit oblivious to what it is I'm doing. But definitely all of my coworkers that have seen me go through this process have been cheering me on and notice how I look more confident. My clothes definitely fit better. And many of them are encouraging me that, you're pretty close to your goal weight. It's probably time for you to get on a maintenance program, as we want you to stay healthy and happy. So,
Right.
yes.
Right. What other like non-scale victories besides fitting into your goal pants, which we'll put a little link to the video that the girls did of you in your like skinny jeans or your goal jeans, which we all have that pair in the closet where it's just like, yeah, when I can put those on, that's me. That means I've won. So what other non-scale victories?
So I find when I go to eat, I have kind of mentally adjusted my appetite. As I'm eating, I don't feel the need, nor am I really hungry to eat the entire pretzel or the entire chicken wing. So, just to kind of share a story, I spontaneously hopped over to Las Vegas this past weekend and was at a trade show. And trade shows, for those of us that go to trade shows, know that it's pretty difficult to maintain healthy eating habits when you're at trade shows because there's just food all day long. And as I went out to dinner the first night and we're entertaining clients, I'm looking at all the food that's getting ordered and going, okay, like, let's keep it in perspective here. You've been working so hard to be on this diet. You're not really hungry anyhow. So instead of getting caught up in the moment of these 6 different appetizer choices and 3 different entrees, like, Grace, have a little of this and a little of that and kind of meet your needs to be participating in the social aspects of eating, but then don't feel the bloating if you overeat. And so I've really,
Right.
through this process, taught myself to modify what it is I'm eating so that when I kind of do get off the shot at the end, I'm slowly preparing myself for smaller portions.
Yeah. And I think traveling in general, it's like, oh, I'm on vacation or, oh, I'm at, and it
Yeah.
seems like, but yeah, there's enough special things in our life where there's always a good excuse, right? So what you're talking about preparing yourself mentally to sort of think about it logically, like how hungry am I, and or should I even eat what that is? Because sometimes I think so I've been on Ozempic, the brand name, not through the center, because I had type 2 diabetes, and
Hmm.
which is awful. And so it was very shocking to find that out. And now I've worked my way back under the number that makes you type 2 diabetic, which is great. I've lost 48 pounds now.
Awesome. Good job.
But it's like, okay, what are those things that, if I look at, let's say, like a hot artichoke dip or something like super rich, and it's just like, I don't even think I'm going to feel good if I eat that. Like, I know I would like it, it would taste good. But then, having those moments of sort of checking yourself, I guess. And that's kind of what you're alluding to.
Right. And I'd also, just to that point, when indulging in an alcoholic beverage as well, historically, I've always been the person that's gone, oh, fruity tooty sweet, that's me. And from the very get go of kind of being on this plan, aligning the little bit that maybe I enjoyed of alcoholic beverages, I've also made different choices and stopped and kind of thought, you know what, the strawberry daiquiri or the mojito or all of these super sweet drinks that absolutely speak to me aren't the best choices. And I've modified kind of what little alcohol, because it doesn't even really taste great anymore, that I'm having to, like, a spritz of cranberry juice in a single alcoholic beverage really kind of does the trick for me. And honestly, most nights when I do go out, I'm not even drinking the alcohol because it just competes with whatever else is in my system.
That's, I think, super interesting because I've experienced the exact same thing. And nobody said don't drink. And I don't drink that much
Mhm.
anyway, but I don't even want it. Like, I'm like, nothing even sounds good. And I think it's because either the times I have had a drink, then I didn't feel well. I'm not sure because it's been, 2 years that I've been doing this. But yeah, it just doesn't even sound good, which is weird. And I was hearing something on a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about how semaglutide, tirzepatide might be used for addiction
Mhm.
because for other things, like maybe alcohol, like people are drinking way less. And that it's just a weird kind of side effect, which I think is interesting. And do you think it was easier to go to that trade show? Because I've done those aesthetic shows, and
Mhm.
it's you feel I think when you're feeling not your best self, whether it's weight or whatever that is going on, that just having to pack the clothes is hard. So when you like did a last minute jet off to Vegas, like would you have even done that maybe in the past, or is this something that was easier to do maybe because you felt more confident?
It definitely was pretty easy. I knew I was only going for 36 plus hours. So to your point, in the past, you'd pack 3 or 4 different options per day, ending up with 2 large suitcases. And I'm going to be there for 2 days. Here's the dress. I'm going to get in the dress, and this is the dress. That's all I'm wearing. And I'm going to wear this outfit at night. And I'm going to, I did go to the pool and I enjoyed being at the pool. I felt confident. I didn't have any type of body dysmorphia as I'm at the pool, and I was comfortable and happy with myself. And it was a new place. It was a new feeling, a new sense of like, I'm here and I
Yeah.
love it. It's just changed my whole attitude.
And that's
So,
amazing. So February to April,
mhm.
you'd be having
Yeah.
kind of a whole new and let me ask you, because I feel like I've never thought you were ever overweight, like 10 pounds, not even like 5, maybe. I don't know. I didn't think that when I heard you were on the skinny shot, I was like, oh, okay. But you're tall. So maybe that's easier to hide it. I don't know. But with that skinny shot kind of assistance, do you feel like this is kind of going to get you to where you want to be? And then with lifestyle changes, you're not going to really have that same tendency, I guess, maybe to overeat or to gain weight.
Sure. So myself and a lot of the prospective patients that I'm talking to are in a little bit of that menopause, the early 50-ish zone, where, in our 40s, our 30s, and even our 20s, we could look at the pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream and sit down, and before we knew it, the pint was gone in one sitting. And
I've been there too.
the metabolism was like, okay, gone. And then 3 or 4 days later, that is my spot. Is I absolutely love sweets. And as I entered my 50s, I have 3 kids, and after kid 1, I hopped on Atkins and lost the weight. After kid 2, I was in a modified, and after child 3, there's something about that concept of zone defense that you're not necessarily running around as much because you have one attached to you and the other 2 are entertaining themselves. And I don't, to your point, I'm definitely in most eyes probably not overweight, but there's just parts of myself that I've always been a little bit self-conscious about and didn't ever feel comfortable in clothes despite really losing a lot of weight. I've always carried extra weight around my hips, and despite really doing the Atkins, despite doing a lot of exercise, I paddleboard, I enjoy dancing on the weekends. I could honestly never really get it off of the hips. And even as, like I said, I went into my early 50s, nothing was working. Not modifying my eating habits, doing more exercise. And this just seemed like this solution that would help me get back to where it is that I wanted to get to and help me change my behavior, my eating habits moving forward. And it's been revolutionary. I don't know. It's really done something that nothing else could do. And as I'm working with a fair number of patients who are in the same boat, and I have a lot of empathy because I can appreciate what they're going through because I went through the same thing myself. And I'm able to share my own stories about this program and how if you just kind of stick to the process and you follow the water suggestions that we have and you increase your protein and truthfully, you don't partake in the snacks when you're really not hungry, you will lose the weight. I was pretty fortunate that every single week while I was on the shot, I was losing weight. But I'm investing in myself, and in investing in myself, I've made conscious decisions that I'm not snacking when everybody around me snacks 3 out of 5 days a week. I sit at my desk
always
and
food
I
there.
ignore
I don't know
it.
how you're doing it. That's amazing because every time I walk into the surgery center and go in the back office, there's food every day. And I'm like,
Every day.
if I were on site, thank God. Now, my refrigerator is right next to me because I work in my home office, which is adjacent to the kitchen. But yeah, if there's just, it is hard because there is this, like what you mentioned earlier, that social aspect of eating. That, and just especially being somebody who's kind of a grazer, it's like that mindless eating. And if all you have to do is reach your hand over and you can pick something up. Yeah,
Lots
that's hard.
of some things, yes.
Well, and I think, so going back to the menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's crazy how hard it is to get weight off and where it starts to accumulate. You're like, what is happening to my body? And it's really frustrating. And so I have a lot of empathy for that too. But I think there's some percentage of naysayers out there. Oh, if you were to just diet and exercise, you could do this on your own. Well, I'm guessing 100% of them are not. Menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, seriously. Yeah, that's true. That was true when I was in my 20s and 30s. It wasn't, I could put my mind to something and I could get close to my goal, at least close. But, when your body has shifted so much in terms of the hormones that are being produced, that really does change everything. And I do agree with you that the semaglutide and tirzepatide are game changers because they do quiet the mind, the noise, the food noise. I guess they call it food noise. And I think that really does, if you're sort of a person who might be obsessed with food, I am. I love it. Then it just helps make all that go away. Because every other diet I've ever done, and I don't know about you, you're still thinking about food. Like, what's my next meal? What's on the little calendar? What do I get? How many portions of how many points or whatever that you're doing? In that way, have you found this to be easier?
I have just from I mean, the overall perspective is it suppresses your appetite. So you're not eating as frequently. And when you do go eat, it's the smaller meals. And I find that when I quote unquote meal prep, and people are my meal prep is okay, let me throw some vegetables in the bag for today. I've got the protein bar, I've got an apple, maybe some salad. And that's kind of what my meal prep is. And a lot of it tends to be like the leftover food from last night. It's my daughter and I, so I'm not making a lot anyhow. And half the time she doesn't particularly enjoy the vegetarian stuff that I'm making for her. And so not going to throw the food away. It's coming in for lunch tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Yay me. And it keeps it easy. And, the food noise isn't there. So late in the day where maybe I was in a place where I needed that snacky to get me to over that hurdle. Cause there's that hurdle between about 3 and 6 when you're like, I'm a little tired. I
Ravenous.
need,
Yeah.
I don't have that ravenous part. And I work from home one day a week. And honestly, when I work from home, I could go 8 or 9 hours from the time I wake up. I have a cup of coffee with the protein like shake, the little shakes. I add a little bit in there. I could go till 5. And even at 5, I'm just not hungry. So, and it's like encouraging yourself just to get some food.
Yeah.
So,
Now, a lot of people talk about side effects with these medications. And now, I don't know if you said, or are you taking the semaglutide or the tirzepatide?
I'm taking the Tirzepatide.
Okay, so tell me about side effects and have you had any? If so, what were they?
So the side effects with Tirzepatide are identical to the side effects with semaglutide, but because of the different makeup of the medication, fewer patients are actually experiencing the side effects of nausea, vomiting, abdominal pains. For myself, it's been a very easy peasy weight loss experience. I really didn't experience any of that, with the exception of maybe a couple days over 10 weeks. Honestly, over 10 weeks, I maybe had maybe a little bit of dizziness, a little bit of, I've got a little uncomfortable. But other than that, I wasn't throwing up. I didn't have nausea. I didn't have abdominal pains, but I don't know. I come from a different stock and try not to let any of that stuff bother me. But truthfully, there really wasn't anything that slowed me down.
And why did you choose to do the tirzepatide over the semaglutide?
I chose the Tirzepatide because of the scientific data showing that the side effects were less. Having watched, as I mentioned, probably half of my coworkers in 2021, 22, 23 on the semaglutide, they lost weight a little, but they all complained about how uncomfortable they were. And as I said, the scientific data available when we started this program was Tirzepatide virtually cut that back by 50%. So,
Yeah, I know that, me being on the Ozempic, which is the semaglutide, I
mhm.
have even still have some days where either I throw up or I feel so sick. And I need to talk to my doctor and say, hey, there's another option. And I didn't know. But I was kind of so happy that all my numbers are trending in the right way. All my lab work looks a lot better. My diabetes number goes, the A1C has gone way down, like 2 points. And so, and I've lost so much weight. So it's like, okay, but that's a good part. So but now I love the fact that there's something that would really help if you're a
Mhm.
person who, let's say start on the semaglutide and maybe you are experiencing those things, that's when Dr. Haas will help you say, okay, well, maybe we need to switch to the tirzepatide if that might make it easier and make it quicker too. Because I think people lost a little bit more weight with the tirzepatide, and maybe that is because it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, we are finding that the weight loss seems to be, every patient is different. Everybody's body reacts to the medications differently. But I would say overall, we're seeing great results with the tirzepatide. And it's a little, with the semaglutide, it's a long haul. And so patients are losing the weight, but it's just slow and steady, which works for some patients because it's going to help them kind of moderate their behaviors.
Right.
And probably keep it off longer.
Now, how has your overall relationship with food, has that changed at all? Or do you think, did you have an unhealthy relationship with food? Did you consider, and how are you feeling now?
I think my only unhealthy relationship with food was my love of sweets, my love of donuts and chocolate and cookies and candy. And I mean, I do, as I mentioned, I enjoy travel, and every travel experience included a huge food component, be it getting ready to go and stocking up the bag with candy. Like, you got to have your candy, you got to have something while you're on the plane, and you get off the plane and you're going and getting some, I mean, as I listen to myself, I'm like, she has an issue with candy. But even when we go to different cities, a very good friend of mine, we would look and pick out, so where's the best ice cream places? And every time we go to a trade show, we'd be checking out, where's the gelato? Where's the fancy ice cream place? And I traveled with my daughters for cheer for over a decade. And we would basically have our own version of 7-Eleven that would whoosh, empty itself onto our desks in the hotel room. And there was food every day, all day. And, I went to Las Vegas and I walked by the candy store and didn't have to think about it. In the morning, I'm going to go get coffee or tea, and I'm looking at all the pastries in there, and I'm, I'll have a banana. And I didn't feel bad, and I wasn't feeling left out that I didn't have the pastry, because I jaunted along and was like, I'm feeling confident and I'm just where I want to be. And I don't really need that. In moderation, sure. Yeah. So, in 10 weeks, I've had a couple little moments, 2 moments where the candy bag did come out for about an hour and then it passed.
Yeah.
But for 10 weeks, I mean, to know me is to love me, and go, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's something that, that, like you say, in 10 weeks, that's pretty fast to, be making those changes. And I think that feeling, the trade-off is, by saying no to the candy bag, you're saying yes to the skinny jeans, and you feel so good. And what is that one quote? Nothing tastes as great as skinny feels. And it's like when you're trying to make that judgment call, should I have this or should I keep, I do love this feeling. And that's the payoff. That's the reward. Is the payoff is how you feel, or the fact that you can go in your closet and not be stressed out to pick what you want to wear if you're going somewhere. So speaking of traveling, because I know you do love to travel, you're going to be going to Ireland soon. So tell me, how do you see the skinny shot fitting into there, or might you be at your goal by then?
So I'm leaving in 2 days.
Oh, I was thinking it was like next week.
No, I'm leaving in 2 days to go to Ireland for a long weekend. So a lot of people have the question, how do you travel with your shots? And I can kind of get to that. I happen to be gone for about 5 days. So my shot happens today, and I'll have my next shot next Monday. So I won't need to travel with my shots. I have plans to leave the candy at home, and replacing the candy will be protein bars that I'm taking with me. I'm going to probably pack some nuts and stuff like that. And conscientiously, when it's time to go eat, I mean, I was just in Las Vegas this weekend, so I've kind of got my mind set on how I handle this. When it's time to go eat breakfast, I'm traveling with somebody who's she's not on the shot. So I'm going to let her eat what she wants to eat. And I'm going to continue with, I don't need a big portion. I'm going to have oatmeal or I'll have a banana. And while we're out and about, I'm going to make great choices. And then at nighttime might be my indulge moment. But it's really the balance between when you're on vacation. Also, I really try and step up my exercise game so that if I'm planning to eat or if I'm planning to maybe partake in some alcohol at the end of the day, I've made up for it in the beginning. I mentioned earlier this year, I had gone on a cruise. And, typically you go on a cruise and you're like, oh, it's a free for all where you can eat and do whatever you want. And the ice cream throughout the day, not a big deal. Well, the group of gals I went with, every single day we got up and had our watches on and said, we're getting our 10,000 steps in before we put anything in our mouth. And I feel like I'm going to have kind of that same mentality and approach as I'm on vacation in Ireland this week, that I'm going to be out exercising and balance. It's all about balance in life. You can partake in this, partake in that if you balance what you're doing. And then your body isn't impacted by the choices that you make.
And I know as far as traveling, so, you want to, if you're going on a car trip, put it, have a little coolie pack with your shots, but you don't want the ice pack touching the skinny shots because freezing can be as bad as warm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important. But I think the key when you're traveling by plane, because I've done this, so I've gone to Cabo and,
Mm-hmm.
you sort of self-declare at TSA, like, hey, by the way, I've got my medicine, and you have to have your prescription. That's the key. Have your prescription. And, in the skinny shot, we have those cool boxes that sort of you get on your first skinny shot visit. And that's good to keep that box because it has everything in it, and you can keep your shots in there. You can keep your prescription in there, because that's, I think, it is okay to travel with medication. It's just making sure that you are, doing it in a way that keeps the medicine safe and is compliant. Because what would be the worst thing is to have them confiscate your shots at TSA.
Yeah.
Like, not good.
Right.
So,
bye investment.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's one thing to lose like shampoo, but it's a whole nother thing to lose your skinny shot. Yeah. All right. So that's good that you're having your shot today and you won't need to worry about the travel part of it. And I think having the steps doing, look at the Europeans. They're a lot thinner than we are. They walk everywhere, which is perfect.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Okay. So back at the very beginning, because you're so close to your goal, you were talking about maintenance. So what does maintenance maybe look like for you? What's the plan?
So it's going to look like, probably at the beginning, twice a month of a shot with a smaller strength. And that's probably something we're going to do 2 to 3 months, because your body's going to be weaning off of that medication. And science is showing that people that achieve their weight loss and then drop right off, eventually they're gaining that weight back. So we want to help provide you with the tools to get your body to adjust to this. And then the next step is going to be probably every 3 weeks. Okay. Once again, a smaller dosage. So
just to sort of, that weaning off mentality.
Yes.
And making sure that you're doing it slow enough that allows you to not be in panic mode. Like, oh, we're going to get you to your goal and then bye. Yeah. We're never going to see you again. Because I do think it is important to sort of like, okay, here's my new normal. Mm-hmm. And how do I take that new normal forward and make it, a success? So April, what would you say to somebody who's considering the skinny shot?
My best advice for you is, sometimes in life we need to prioritize ourselves. And we spend our entire life helping others, our kids, our friends, and this and that. And now is the time for you to do something for yourself, where you've tried the eating right, you've tried the exercise, and embrace it, because you're not alone. And everybody that's on this program is feeling and looking great about themselves. And when you get into those goal pants, it's like a life changer. You feel magical, you feel excited, you feel just energized. And I want to help get you there, as does our team.
Yeah. And what does
Mm.
that look like? Kind of those check-ins. So you come in the first time and what happens? And then when you come back a month later, or what happens in that first month?
So at the initial shot pickup, we provide you with your medications. We provide you with different tools that we know are going to help you achieve your results. Because honestly, the shots help, but it's having a sense of accountability on what you're eating and doing some exercise and drinking the water. And during that first month, our nursing team, led by Rachel, reaches out and touches base with you. To the very first month, it's 3 times. So, right after you have the shot, because we want to make sure, as I said, everybody's reaction to medications is different. So, we want to be aware of, did you have any side effects? And if you did have side effects, what were they? And we also have patients, they're provided with a scale. It's a Bluetooth scale. So we are getting notified every single week of your weight loss achievements. And so as we go through the program, Rachel's reaching out, and in the 3.5 week, she and you are working together to determine, do we need to modify the dosage that you're getting to help you get to your next plateau? And so after the first month, you come back in, you pick up your medications and take them home and continue to interact with Rachel.
And then after that first month, then it's maybe on a monthly, or what's the check-in process
So
look like?
Rachel checks in with patients every 2 weeks after the first month, just once again, because we're constantly managing the medication dosage and the side effects to make sure that nobody feels like they're out on an island by themselves. And
Right.
so we're able to kind of make adjustments throughout the process if we need to before it's time that your medication reships.
Yeah, and I think that, there's all these online places that you
Hmm.
can get the skinny shot essentially. But it's like that you don't have that human component of I have Rachel and I have Dr. Haas, and here
Hmm.
we can problem solve, and we're going to, take pictures along the way, and celebrate and make modifications if we need to, and then also have that maintenance program for you.
It's like you're with a community of others that are going through the same process as you are, and they can relate and they can support you through the weeks where maybe you haven't lost the weight, and kind of keep you in a good mind space, as well as make the adjustments, because we know what it's like. We're all right there in that same boat, and we want it to be a win-win for you and not just provide you with medication. To your point, you can go get medication anywhere, but one of the things that sets us apart here is we're all about the service, and we're all about supporting you throughout, because you're like our family. And we want our family to achieve their long term results and feel good and look good during the process.
Yeah, and I think enough staff members have been on it. Dr. Haas has been on it. You've been on it. And I think that just helps to know that there's somebody else like, hey, would this happen to me? Did this happen to you? And, just
Mhm.
having that support system, I think, is so critical. And, having that team behind you, I guess, to really make it a personal experience. It's not just like, okay, you get program A and you
Yeah.
get program B and bye. you know,
Hmm.
and that's kind of always been the way that La Jolla Cosmetic has done everything, right? We're very high touch. We handhold you through whatever it is you're going through. And I think one of the reasons that we thought about adding this as a line of service for our patients is that, for those of us who are thinking about a mommy makeover or thinking about liposuction for a certain area, there's guys out there who want it for their midsection, but if you're not at your healthy weight, you're not going to have a good result. And you might not, if you're at a weight that's too high, that your BMI is too high, you're not even really a good candidate for surgery at all. And so there's been a lot of people who maybe need to lose 25 pounds before they could have their mommy makeover, or before they could have their facelift or tummy tuck or whatever it is that they're thinking about. And this helps bridge that gap. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I don't want to operate on you till here, and you're over here. Let's move you closer to that goal and maybe have you at that goal weight for a few months to make sure you can sustain it, and then have your surgery. And you're going to have a much easier recovery. You're going to have a much more beautiful result just because you're at that weight.
Absolutely. And this kind of bridges the gap for those patients that have been told in the past that their BMI is too high. Now we have something that partners with them, helps them get to that next level, supports them so they can achieve the wow results.
Now, if somebody is saying, okay, I want to try this, and if I call today and want to get booked for my consultation, how long would it be before I find out like I'm a candidate and I could, come in and pick up my first round of shots?
So it takes a few days to get started. Part of our process includes the blood work aspect because we want to be able to determine what your blood rates are on 4 different tests. And so that typically takes 24 hours for you to get the results posted. And from that point, you'll have a virtual consultation with Dr. Haas. And then the medications take 5 business days to come in. So kind of beginning to end, you could probably be in and out within about 7 days.
Okay. So planning ahead
Mhm.
before that big event you might have. If you have a reunion coming up this summer, I know I have one coming up in the fall from my college reunion. I'm at 35. How is that possible? Because I'm not that old. I'm going to be able to look really good. And so I was kind of excited about that because I looked pretty good for the 25th, but for the 30th, not so much. So it is something that it's like, okay, I can, set my sights on if, a lot of times if you have a goal for an event or a certain dress in your closet or whatever it is, the skinny jeans, that helps keep you motivated. But I think that the difference for me, because I've tried different diets my whole life, it's always been a struggle, is that this really, for me, I don't even want to eat certain things. And I know I won't be able to eat a huge portion, even though I might have in the past wanted to. And I think that was the hardest mindset for me to get over at the very beginning, because you're in a routine of either grazing or eating something that's maybe not so good for you and eating all of it. So every other diet has sort of been a deprivation situation, whereas
Mhm.
this, I don't feel deprived at all. And that has been a game changer. So, and I think you sort of mentioned the same thing.
I did. I think about being deprived. I feel bad for my favorite donut shop, and I won't mention them on here. I wonder who supports them now that I'm not in there once a month picking up the extra large 5,000 calorie donut along with the cold brew
With
flavored
sugar.
that had about 7,500 calories. And boy, was I flying high. I didn't even need to take the elevator up to the 8th floor when I was having that because whoosh. And so it's with the sadness and also a sense of glee is I can walk into that favorite donut shop and buy the sweets and the treats for my team members, bring them into the office and go enjoy and
Uh-huh.
not have to feel that I need to have one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or if
it's
you do, it's like I'll have a little
nibble.
a little nibble. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think you can get yourself over those humps easier with the skinny shot. And that's the difference between that and anything else I've done. And I've pretty much done all of it. So one last question for you is sort of how do we track your that monthly progress? So you mentioned the app and a Bluetooth scale.
Mhm.
How do we kind of monitor you from, the beginning to you reaching your goal?
So we have the app, and the app goes ahead and shares with you on a week by week progression. It's tracking about 8 different things. It tracks your weight, your BMI, your body mass, your muscle tone. It's got all the components that you want to be aware of, but internally, we also keep track of benchmarking each individual patient as they've been going through this process. And we kind of know where they want to be, where they're starting, and helping them get towards that end goal and celebrating those successes with them.
April, thank you so much for sharing your own experience with the skinny shot. And for anybody out there, if you're listening today and you're thinking about doing it, April is going to be probably one of the first people to talk to you, except for when she's in Ireland, and then she won't be the one to talk to you. But, you'll have a conversation with us. We'll talk about how to get started. And then if you go to our specials page on our website. Right now, we have, in the month of April, we have $75 off your first 3 months of whichever shot you pick and $100 off your enrollment fee. So that might get you sort of motivated to get started after you hear this episode. On our YouTube page, we have a playlist about the skinny shot. It shows how to take the shots, how to give yourself a shot, how to have a friend give you a shot. It's really not scary. And, we've got other videos. So keep staying tuned, because I think it's sometimes a fun way to kind of learn about something is to watch a video. And we also have an on-demand seminar that's about 30 minutes. And so you can hear Dr. Haas talk about the science behind the skinny shots and why they're effective and what are the sort of risks and how important that following you through the process, how that is. So all of that we'll stick in the show notes for you. And thanks, April, for coming. It was really fun to talk to you. And congratulations, oh my gosh, on 24 pounds and almost 26. And that's incredible.
Thanks, Monique, and look forward to welcoming everybody to our Biggest Losers Club. So give us a call.
The Biggest Losers Club. We love losers, right?
We do.
All right. Well, thanks again. And thanks, everybody. And we'll see you on the next one.
Take a screenshot of this podcast episode with your phone and show it at your consultation or appointment, or mention the promo code podcast to receive $25 off any service or product of $50 or more at La Jolla Cosmetic. La Jolla Cosmetic is located just off the I-5 San Diego Freeway in the Ximed building on the Scripps Memorial Hospital campus. To learn more, go to LJCSC.com or follow the team on Instagram at LJCSC. The La Jolla Cosmetic Podcast is a production of The Axis, TheAxis.io.